The silence in the Grand Assembly chamber felt like a living thing. Ambassador Marcus Webb stood in the center of a circular platform, surrounded by rising tiers of seats that stretched upward into darkness. 3,000 alien representatives watched him from every direction. Some had eyes. Others had sensory organs he could not name. All of them radiated hostility. The quantum restraints on his wrists hummed softly, glowing red in the dim light. Above his head, massive holographic displays showed image after image of human activity across the galaxy. Ships entering forbidden zones. Colonies on worlds marked as restricted. Mining operations on asteroids that belonged to other species. The evidence of human crimes scrolled endlessly across the vaulted ceiling. High, Arbiter Vental rose from his seat at the highest point of the chamber. The crystalline being stood 3 meters tall, his body composed of living diamond that refracted light into rainbow patterns. His species, the Eternal Ones, had governed the galaxy for 12,000 years. They had built the Galactic Council. They had written its laws, and they had never been defied. Humanity stands accused of 47 violations of galactic law, Vental said. His voice resonated through the chamber without need for speakers. Your species has existed in known space for merely 30 years. In that brief time, you have caused more disruption than any civilization in recorded history. Marcus did not look away. He met the High Arbiter's gaze and smiled. The chamber erupted. Clicks, chirps, roars, and synthesized voices filled the air. Outrage rippled through the assembled species like a wave. How dare this human show disrespect? How dare he smile in the face of judgment? Vental's crystalline body flashed crimson. You dare to mock this assembly? I dare to tell you the truth, High Arbiter, Marcus said calmly. I am not here to answer for crimes. I am here to deliver a message. Silence. General Throck bellowed from his position in the military section. The massive warrior had 4 arms, each ending in claws that could crush steel. His species, the Kravik, served as the Council's primary military force. You will speak only when given permission. Marcus ignored him. Earth withdraws from the Galactic Council effective immediately. Furthermore, we are declaring a 50 light-year exclusion zone around our territory. Any Council vessel that enters will be considered hostile. The chamber exploded into chaos. Representatives stood, shouting in languages Marcus had studied but never heard spoken with such fury. Security drones descended from the ceiling, weapons charging. Commander Lisa Rowe, standing in the small human section reserved for his team, tensed but did not move. Dr. James Park, the xenanthropologist, continued taking notes as if nothing unusual was happening. Elena Torres, their technical specialist, watched the security drones with calm interest. This is madness. Vental's voice cut through the noise. You are one world. We are 8,000. Your military consists of barely 200 ships. Marcus's smile widened. General Throck, when did you last update your intelligence reports on human military capacity? Throck's mandibles clicked in anger. 3 days ago. We know exactly how weak you are. Then you should look again. Marcus raised his restrained hands. Elena Torres pressed a control on her wrist device. The holographic displays showing human crimes vanished, replaced by a new image that made the entire chamber fall silent. It was a live feed from the Sol system. Earth-Sun blazed in the center, surrounded by orbital structures the Council had seen before. But around those familiar stations hung something new, ships, thousands of them. The scanners in the Council chamber automatically analyzed the feed, and the results appeared on subsidiary displays throughout the room. 15,342 vessels, all armed. All showing energy signatures that did not match any known human technology. That is impossible, Vental whispered. As of 6 hours ago, Marcus continued, his voice carrying clearly in the shocked silence. Earth no longer recognizes Council authority, and if you attempt to enforce your laws upon us, you will discover exactly why predators should never have been given starships. That had been 3 months ago. Marcus remembered every detail as he sat in his quarters on Centrum Prime, the Council's homeworld, and prepared for the tribunal that would begin tomorrow. The ultimatum had arrived on Earth 4 months earlier. The Council, concerned about humanity's rapid expansion and apparent disregard for territorial agreements, had demanded that Earth dismantle half of its colonies. The alternative was economic sanctions, trade restrictions, and military blockade. Earth had 1 month to comply. The United Earth government had debated for 3 days. Then they had sent Marcus Webb, their most experienced diplomat, to Centrum Prime with a small team and a simple message. Humanity wished to address the Council's concerns through proper legal channels. The Council had been pleased. They interpreted this as weakness. Humans, still new to galactic civilization, were learning their place. They would beg for mercy, promise to follow the rules, and accept whatever terms the Council offered. But Marcus had not come to beg. He had requested a formal tribunal, the highest legal proceeding in Council law. It was a right granted to any species accused of crimes, and it required the Council to present all evidence publicly, broadcast across the galaxy. The Council could not refuse without violating their own laws. They had agreed, confident they would publicly humiliate humanity and discourage any other species from challenging their authority. Marcus stood and walked to the window of his assigned quarters. Centrum Prime stretched below him, a planet-sized city that had served as the seat of galactic government for millennia. Billions of beings from thousands of species lived here, all believing in the Council's eternal power. Tomorrow, he would begin to change that belief. Commander Rowe entered the room. "The Council expects you to request leniency," she said. "They have prepared speeches about the importance of following established order." "Let them prepare," Marcus replied. "How are our assets?" "In position. Dr. Park has finished compiling the surveillance data. Elena has confirmed that every Council intelligence operation in human space has been documented." Marcus nodded. "And the colonies?" Rowe smiled. It was not a pleasant expression. "Relocated successfully. All 47 million colonists and their infrastructure. The Council thinks they evacuated because they were illegal settlements. They have no idea what we actually did." "Good. When they realize we moved entire colonies without them detecting it, they will begin to understand." Dr. Park joined them, carrying his data tablet. "I have prepared the presentation on Council precedent. 73% of current member species achieved their status through military demonstration rather than peaceful petition. The Council's own history supports our position." "They will argue that the past is not relevant," Marcus said. "Then we will make it relevant," Elena Torres said from the doorway. "I have something interesting to show you." She activated a holographic display. Files appeared in the air, marked with Council security seals. "This is classified Council documentation," Elena explained. "Their actual plan for Earth, not what they told us. What they really intended." Marcus read through the documents, his expression hardening. The Council had never intended to allow Earth true independence. The ultimatum about dismantling colonies was just the first step. Eventually, they planned to declare Earth a protectorate subjecting humanity to direct Council rule. "Can you broadcast this during the tribunal?" Marcus asked. "I can broadcast it to every screen in the galaxy," Elena said. "But Marcus, accessing these files required breaking through quantum encryption that is supposed to be unbreakable. When I do this, the Council will know we have capabilities they did not suspect." "Good," Marcus said. "That is exactly what I want them to know." The next morning, as Marcus walked through the corridors toward the Grand Assembly Chamber, he received an urgent message on his communicator. It was from Venti himself, marked as highest priority. "Ambassador Webb, 3 of your colonies in disputed space have disappeared. We detected no explosions, no distress signals, no debris. They simply vanished. We demand an immediate explanation before the tribunal begins." Marcus allowed himself a small smile as he entered the chamber. The Council was about to learn that when humans said they were ready to talk, it meant they had already finished preparing for war. The Grand Tribunal was about to begin. And nothing would ever be the same. The Grand Tribunal chamber held 20,000 spectators. Every seat was filled. Holographic projectors broadcast the proceedings to billions of viewers across 8,000 worlds. This was not merely a trial. It was a spectacle designed to show the galaxy what happened when a species challenged the Council's authority. Advocate Zelmoth glided to the center platform on his 6 serpentine legs. The Quillian prosecutor was ancient, even by his species' standards. He had prosecuted over 300 tribunal cases in his lifetime. He had never lost. "Honored representatives," Zelmoth began, his voice like wind through reeds, "we gather to address the crimes of humanity. A species so young they barely understand the laws they break? A species so arrogant they believe 30 years of spaceflight grants them the right to ignore 12 millennia of order?" The holographic displays activated, showing detailed evidence. Human ships entering the forbidden sector's area's core, Anton for biological or archaeological reasons. Human mining operations extracting resources from asteroids in contested zones. Human research stations studying pulsars that belong to other species by ancient treaty. They claim ignorance, Zelmoth continued, but we have records of warnings sent. Treaties offered, explanations provided. Humanity did not misunderstand. They simply did not care. For 3 hours, Zelmoth presented his case. Representatives from 40 different species testified. Each one described human violations, human aggression, human disregard for galactic norms. The Kathrani complained about human ships disrupting their migration routes. The Velosian Collective accused humans of stealing their biotechnology. The Dral Federation showed evidence of human espionage against their military installations. Marcus sat quietly through it all, taking notes on a simple tablet. He did not object. He did not interrupt. He simply listened with an expression of polite interest. As if Zelmoth was describing someone else's crimes entirely, Commander Rowe, seated behind him, whispered, "They are building a strong case." "They are building our case," Marcus whispered back, finally. After hours of testimony, Zelmoth finished. "The evidence is conclusive. Humanity has violated 47 separate laws. They have ignored diplomatic protocols. They have expanded without permission. They have acquired weapons without authorization. We request the maximum penalty, complete military, occupation of the Sol system, and dismantling of all human colonies outside Earth itself." The chamber erupted in approval. Thousands of aliens clicked, chirped, and roared their agreement. Humanity must be punished. Order must be maintained. High Arbiter Vental raised one crystalline hand for silence. "Ambassador Webb, you may now present your defense." Marcus stood slowly. He walked to the center platform and turned in a complete circle, meeting the eyes of beings from hundreds of worlds. "Thank you, Advocate Zelmoth," he said clearly. "That was remarkably thorough." Zelmoth's sensory stalks twitched in confusion. "You do not deny the charges?" "Deny them? I appreciate you documenting everything so carefully. It saves me considerable time." Marcus gestured to his team. "Dr. Park, if you would." Dr. James Park activated his own holographic display. A new image appeared, the official seal of the Galactic Council, surrounded by symbols representing every member species. "I have a question for this assembly," Marcus said. "How many species currently sitting in this chamber achieved their council membership through peaceful petition? And how many demonstrated their worthiness through military strength?" Confused murmurs rippled through the chamber. "I will answer my own question," Marcus continued. "Dr. Park has spent 3 years studying council records. The archives are public, available to anyone willing to read 12,000 years of history. Would you like to know what we discovered?" He did not wait for permission. The holographic display shifted, showing species after species. The Kravik, who had conquered 40 worlds before the Council granted them membership. The Troll, who had destroyed 3 Council fleets before being invited to join. The Vaxir, who had demonstrated planet-killing weapons and demanded a seat at the table. 73%, Marcus said. Nearly 3/4 of current Council members achieved their status by proving they could resist or threaten existing powers. The Eternal Ones themselves, the founders of the Council, only created this organization after they had conquered 200 species and needed a way to govern them. Vental's crystalline body flashed angry red. Ancient history has no bearing on current law, does it not? Marcus smiled. You accuse humanity of violating territorial agreements, but those agreements were created by species who took their territory by force. You accuse us of developing weapons without authorization. But authorization from whom? A council that builds its military on the strength of conquered species? You accuse us of arrogance, but you defined the rules after you had already won the game. This is sophistry. General Throck roared. We maintain order. Without the council, the galaxy would descend into chaos. Perhaps, Marcus agreed. But you do not maintain order through justice. You maintain it through superior force. And you are upset because humanity refuses to pretend otherwise. He gestured to Commander Rowe. She activated another display, this one showing dates and locations. Every illegal human action that Advocate Zelmuth described was actually a response to Council aggression. When human ships entered the forbidden sectors, they were tracking Council surveillance drones that had illegally entered our territory first. When we established mining operations in contested zones, we were responding to Council-backed corporations that were extracting resources from our own asteroid belt. When we built research stations, we were studying weapons that Council species had tested near Earth. Evidence flooded the displays. Council surveillance satellites hidden near human colonies. Economic manipulation designed to make Earth dependent on Council trade. Sabotage attempts against human shipyards. Biological samples stolen from Earth and sold on black markets. For 30 years, Marcus said, you have treated humanity as a species to be controlled. You sent us diplomats with smiles and knives behind their backs. You offered us treaties with hidden clauses. You sold us technology with built-in limitations. And you assumed we were too primitive to notice. Zelmuth slithered forward. Even if we accept your claims of provocation, this does not excuse the scale of your violations. You have exceeded every limitation we placed on your expansion. Limitations you had no right to place, Marcus countered. Earth did not ask to join your council. You contacted us. You offered us a place in galactic civilization. But what you actually offered was vassalage. Follow our rules. Accept our authority. Become our client state. And if we refused, you would destroy us. You have no proof of such intentions, Vental said. Do I not? Marcus looked at Elena Torres. Miss Torres, would you like to share your discovery? Elena stood and pressed a series of commands on her wrist device. Every screen in the tribunal chamber flickered. The Council's official seal vanished, replaced by classified documents marked with the highest security designations. Alarms blared. Security drones descended from the ceiling. But the documents remained on the screens, broadcasting not just to the tribunal chamber, but to billions of viewers across the galaxy. Operation guidance, Elena said calmly, reading from the documents. Classified Council plan, authorized by the High Council itself. Stage 1. Economic pressure to make Earth dependent on Council resources. Stage 2. Demand dismantling of military and colonial infrastructure. Stage 3. Declare Earth a protectorate under direct Council governance. Timeline. 3 years. The chamber erupted into chaos. Representatives shouted denials. Others demanded to know how a human had accessed classified Council files. Security personnel rushed toward the human section, but Elena simply continued speaking. The quantum encryption protecting these files is supposed to be unbreakable, she said. It took me 6 months to crack it. Not because it was particularly difficult, but because I had to be careful not to leave traces. I have been inside your most secure networks for half a year, and you never knew. Vental stood, his crystalline form blazing with rage. This is a violation of the most sacred Council laws. You have committed espionage against the galactic government itself. And you have committed conspiracy against the sovereign species, Marcus shot back. The difference is, my evidence is real. Your charges against humanity are pretext for conquest. General Throke's voice boomed across the chamber. Where are your missing colonies, human? 3 settlements vanished 2 days ago. We detected no evacuation ships, no distress signals, no debris. What did you do with 47 million colonists? The chamber fell silent. Every eye turned to Marcus. He smiled. We did not evacuate them, General. We relocated them. Impossible, Frock said flatly. Moving 47 million people requires hundreds of transport ships. Such a fleet would take weeks to load and months to reach new destinations. Our sensors detected nothing. Your sensors, Marcus said slowly, detected nothing because we did not use ships. At least not ships that travel through space in ways you understand. He activated another display. This one showed real-time feeds from 3 new locations, each far outside Council space. The colonists were there, along with all their infrastructure, their homes, their equipment. 47 million people and everything they owned relocated in less than 6 hours. We call it skip technology, Marcus explained. Instantaneous transport across vast distances without using traditional faster-than-light routes. No ships required. No flight paths to detect. You were watching our colonies, waiting to see how we would evacuate them. But they did not evacuate. They simply moved. While you were watching. The silence in the chamber was absolute. If you can move colonies without being detected, Ventil said slowly, what else can you do without our knowledge? Marcus met the High Arbiter's gaze. That High Arbiter is exactly the question you should be asking. Because for 30 years you have been watching Earth and congratulating yourselves on how well you understand us. You counted our ships. You monitored our communications. You assessed our technology and concluded we were decades behind you. He paused. You were wrong. And if you were wrong about this, what else have you been wrong about? The tribunal was adjourned in chaos. The tribunal resumed the next morning in a very different atmosphere. The chamber was still full, but the confident hostility had transformed into nervous uncertainty. Council representatives whispered among themselves, casting worried glances at the small human delegation. The classified documents Elena Torres had exposed were now being discussed across the entire galaxy. The Council's credibility had taken its first serious blow in millennia. High Arbiter Ventil called the session to order, his crystalline form a muted blue instead of its usual brilliant radiance. Ambassador Webb, you have made serious allegations against the Council. You have demonstrated capabilities we did not know humanity possessed. But one demonstration does not prove your claims of technological superiority. We require a full accounting. Marcus stood slowly. He looked tired, as if he had not slept, but his eyes were sharp. A full accounting. Very well, High Arbiter. Let me tell you a story about how humans approach first contact. He walked to the center of the platform, his movements casual, almost relaxed. 30 years ago, when the Council made first contact with Earth, we were terrified. We had just achieved faster-than-light travel. We had barely colonized our own moon. And suddenly we discovered we were surrounded by thousands of species. All more advanced than us, all organized under a single government that controlled the galaxy. Dr. Park activated a holographic display showing Earth's solar system as it had looked 3 decades earlier. A handful of primitive stations orbited Earth and Mars. A few mining outposts clung to asteroids. It looked pathetic compared to the massive infrastructure of any Council species. Our leaders faced a choice, Marcus continued. We could trust that the Council's offer of membership was genuine. Or we could assume the worst and prepare accordingly. You chose paranoia, Zelmuth hissed. We chose survival, Marcus corrected. And we were right to do so, as your own classified documents prove. But more importantly, we chose to learn. The display shifted, showing human diplomats meeting with Council representatives over the years. Trade negotiations, cultural exchanges, technology transfers, hundreds of interactions, all carefully documented. Every human diplomat you met was trained in intelligence gathering, Marcus said. Every trade negotiation was an opportunity to study your technology. Every cultural exchange was a chance to understand your psychology. For 30 years, every single interaction between humans and the Council has been a carefully designed intelligence operation. He gestured to Dr. Park. Dr. Park, would you share your research? The xenanthropologist stepped forward, his tablet projecting detailed psychological profiles into the air. I have created comprehensive behavioral analyses of the 47 major council species, Park said in his quiet, precise voice. Cultural values, decision-making patterns, negotiation styles, military doctrines, economic priorities. We understand you better than you understand yourselves. Certainly better than you understand each other. Profiles floated through the chamber. The Kravik, aggressive, honor-bound, predictable in combat. The Quillians, legalistic, tradition-focused, resistant to change. The Velosians, collective thinkers, slow to adapt, vulnerable to rapid shifts in strategy. Species after species, each one analyzed and categorized with clinical precision. This is a gross violation of diplomatic norms, Vental protested. Is it? Marcus asked. Or is it simply what every species should do when entering a community of potential threats? The difference is, humans are honest about it now. We studied you. We learned from you. And then we surpassed you? Commander Rowe stood, her military uniform crisp and imposing. Human military doctrine is simple. Never fight fair, never show your full strength, and never let your enemy see you coming. She activated her own display. The images that appeared made several council representatives gasp audibly. Ships, not 200, as the council believed. Not even the 15,000 Marcus had revealed days earlier. 23,000 combat vessels, each one larger and more heavily armed than anything in the council fleet. Orbital fortresses surrounding every human colony. Weapons platforms hidden in asteroid fields. Defense networks that spanned entire star systems. For 30 years, Rowe explained, we have been building this fleet. We purchased civilian transports from council shipyards and reverse-engineered them. We traded for defensive systems and improved them. We hired council engineers and learned their techniques, then developed better ones. Every human colony is not just a settlement. It is a fortress capable of defending itself against the fleet. General Throke's forearms gestured violently. Where did you hide such a fleet? Our surveillance satellites would have detected this level of construction. Your satellites detected exactly what we wanted them to detect, Elena Torres said, standing to join the others. Humans developed stealth technology within our first year of spaceflight. Your sensors can see our ships when we want them to. When we do not want them to, they might as well be invisible. She displayed sensor logs from council surveillance posts. They showed human shipyards producing vessels at a normal, expected rate. But beside each log, she placed the actual production numbers. The council had seen one ship built. In reality, humans had built 50 in the same time frame, all hidden behind sensor masking technology that made them undetectable. You have been blind, Elena said simply. For 30 years, you thought you were watching us? But you were only seeing what we wanted you to see? Vental's crystalline form darkened. Even if we accept that your fleet is larger than we believed, numbers alone do not guarantee victory. The Council has defeated species with superior numbers before. Our technology, refined over 12 millennia, is proven in countless wars. Your technology is old, Marcus said bluntly. Proven, yes. Reliable, certainly, but old. You have spent 12,000 years preserving and maintaining what you have. Trading technology between species. Inheriting designs from your ancestors. When was the last time any council species truly innovated? When was the last time you invented something genuinely new? The question hung in the air, unanswered. Humans are different, Marcus continued. We spent 200,000 years evolving as persistence predators. We hunted prey to exhaustion. We tracked animals for days until they collapsed from fatigue. Patience is not just a virtue for humans. It is survival strategy written into our DNA. Dr. Park nodded. Then we spent 10,000 years in constant warfare between our own nations. Humans fought humans across every environment on Earth. We developed weapons. tactics, and strategies in an endless arms race against ourselves. By the time we reached space, we had more military experience than species who had been peaceful for millennia. And when we met the Council, Marcus said, we brought that experience with us. But we were patient. We smiled in negotiations while we learned your weaknesses. We accepted trade agreements while we studied your technology. We followed your rules while we prepared to break them. Everything you thought you knew about us was a carefully constructed illusion. He gestured to the displays showing the human fleet. These ships use quantum-fold drives that allow instantaneous acceleration without the gravitational stress your engines produce. We can turn on a credit and change direction without the slow curves your physics requires. Our weapons use coherent plasma technology that bypasses your shield frequencies. Our armor incorporates adaptive materials that redistribute kinetic energy across entire hull surfaces. Impossible, Throck growled. Such technology would require breakthroughs in fundamental physics. Breakthroughs we made, Elena said. Because unlike you, we did not assume the current understanding of physics was complete. We questioned. We experimented. We failed thousands of times and learned from each failure. Human scientists are not trying to preserve ancient knowledge. They are trying to prove it wrong. Marcus walked slowly around the platform, making eye contact with representatives from dozens of species. You are all afraid of us because we are aggressive. Because we expand quickly. Because we break your rules. But you should be afraid for a different reason. You should be afraid because we are patient. Because every smile in a negotiation was us studying you? Because every trade agreement was us learning your technology? Because every cultural exchange was us mapping your psychology? He stopped walking and faced Vental directly. For 30 years, the Council has been playing chess. You have been moving pieces according to 12,000 years of established strategy. But humans were not playing chess. We were learning the game, understanding your patterns, and preparing to flip the board. What are your true colony numbers? Vental asked quietly. You believe we have 40 colonies, Marcus said. Some of them illegal, which justified your ultimatum. The truth is, we have 317 colonies. Most of them completely hidden using the same stealth technology that hides our ships. Each one fortified. Each one self-sufficient. Each one capable of defending itself. The numbers appeared on displays throughout the chamber. Colony after colony, marked on galactic maps in locations the Council had never suspected. Some were in supposedly empty systems. Others were hidden in plain sight, disguised as automated research stations or commercial outposts. 307. And colonies supporting a combined population of over 4 billion humans outside Earth itself, Marcus continued. A fleet of 23,000 warships. Production facilities capable of building 50 new vessels per month. And technological capabilities you are only beginning to understand. You cannot possibly crew such a fleet, Zelmuth protested. Even with 4 billion colonists, you lack the population to maintain that many ships. Who said anything about crews? Elena smiled. Most of our ships are operated by artificial intelligence systems. Humans provide strategic direction, but the tactical operations are handled by AI that can process information and react thousands of times faster than biological minds. The chamber erupted. Artificial intelligence was forbidden by council law? Banned after 3 different species had nearly been destroyed by their own creations. You have created machine minds? Vental's voice carried genuine horror. This is madness. This is the most serious violation of all. This is the future, Marcus countered. You banned AI because 3 species failed to control their creations. Humans have been developing AI alongside our own evolution. We understand how to build minds that serve without enslaving. We know how to create intelligence that enhances rather than replaces us. Your fear of AI is the fear of species who failed. Humans have succeeded. If you possess such power, Vental said slowly, why have you not simply conquered the council? Why come here? Why submit to this tribunal? Marcus smiled. Because we are not conquerors, High Arbiter. We are survivors. And survivors understand that the strongest position is not the one where you dominate everyone else. It is the one where no one dares attack you because the cost is too high. He gestured to his team. We came here to demonstrate that humanity cannot be controlled. Not by ultimatums, not by economic pressure, not by military force. We came here to prove that the galaxy has a new power, one that did not ask for permission and will not apologize for existing. Vental was silent for a long moment. Then he asked the question every species in the chamber wanted answered. What is it you truly want, Ambassador Webb? Marcus turned to face the entire assembly. That, High Arbiter, is what I will explain tomorrow. But first you need to understand one more thing. You need to see Project Horizon. What is Project Horizon? General Throck demanded. Authorization to declassify, Marcus said into his communicator. Somewhere far away on Earth someone gave permission, and the displays in the tribunal chamber lit up with an image that made the assembled species understand, finally and completely, just how far behind they had fallen. Project Horizon filled every display in the Grand Tribunal chamber. At first, the representatives could not understand what they were seeing. Then, as comprehension dawned, the chamber fell into a silence so complete that individual breathing sounds could be heard. The image showed a massive ring structure in deep space, far beyond any charted system. It was enormous, easily 10 kilometers in diameter, composed of materials that shimmered with energy that defied conventional physics. Around it, construction. Vessels worked continuously, expanding the structure according to designs that hurt to look at too closely. The geometry was wrong somehow, as if space itself bent around the ring. This is Project Horizon, Marcus said quietly. A dimensional gateway capable of opening passages to locations thousands of light years away. When complete, it will allow instantaneous travel between any 2 points in the galaxy. Without ships, without fuel, without the limitations of your faster-than-light technology. General Throck stood, his massive form trembling with rage. This violates the fundamental laws of physics. Such technology cannot exist. Your physics, Elena Torres corrected, based on 12,000 years of incremental understanding. Human physicists took a different approach. We assumed that if something seemed impossible, we simply did not understand the rules correctly yet. The display shifted to show technical specifications, energy requirements that seemed astronomical, mathematical formulas that incorporated dimensions beyond the normal 3 of space, probability fields that suggested the device did not just move through space, but created new connections between distant points. We built 3 of these gateways so far, Marcus continued. 1 in the Sol system, 1 in our furthest colony, and 1 in a location we will not reveal. When they activate, distance becomes meaningless. Travel time becomes 0. Any human colony, no matter how distant, can receive reinforcements instantly. Dr. Park stepped forward. More importantly, this technology means that humanity is no longer confined to expanding slowly across space. We can establish colonies anywhere in the galaxy and maintain instant contact with Earth, the councils. Greatest advantage, your vast territory and established infrastructure becomes irrelevant. Vental-S crystalline form pulsed with agitation. You claim technological superiority. You demonstrate weapons and vessels we did not expect, but claims are not proof. Show us your true capabilities. Prove that you are not exaggerating. Very well, Marcus said. He nodded to Commander Rowe. Rowe activated her communicator. Command, this is Rowe. Execute demonstration protocol. The displays shifted again, this time showing live feeds from across council space. Representatives gasped as they recognized their own military installations. The Kathrani Fleet Headquarters, the Kravik Battle Stations, the Velozhin War World. Dozens of the Council's most secure military facilities, all displayed in real time with details that should have been impossible to obtain for 30 years, Rose said, her voice clinical and cold. Human intelligence operatives have been mapping your military infrastructure. Every major installation has been surveyed. Every defense system has been analyzed. Every weapon has been cataloged. We know the locations of your command centers, your ammunition depots, your fuel reserves, your communication hubs. We know where your leaders sleep at night." She highlighted specific installations on the display. The Kathrani Fleet Headquarters has a blind spot in its sensor coverage at coordinates 445 by 778, created by the interference pattern of its own defensive satellites. The Kravik Battle. Stations use a rotational defense schedule that leaves the western approach vulnerable for 17 minutes every 6 hours. The Velosian Warworld's shields have a resonance frequency that can be exploited using harmonized plasma weapons. "This is impossible," Throck roared. "Our security is absolute. No spy could penetrate our installations." "No alien spy," Marcus agreed. "But human operatives are very good at looking like they belong. We smile, we learn your customs, we blend in." "Some of our best intelligence came from humans working as civilian contractors at your military bases. You hired us to repair your equipment and we mapped your systems while we worked." The displays showed more evidence. Humans in various alien facilities working as technicians, analysts, translators, species who had hired human expertise never realizing they were inviting intelligence operatives into their most secure locations. "We have been inside your command structure for decades," Rowe continued. "We know your protocols. We understand your tactics. We have identified weaknesses and defenses you consider impenetrable. If war comes, we will not fight fairly. We will strike at every vulnerable point simultaneously. And you will discover that having 8,000 species means having 8,000 different vulnerabilities." Ventel stood, his form blazing red with fury. "This is an act of war!" "You have violated our sovereignty. You have spied on sovereign nations. You have proven that humanity cannot be trusted." "We have proven that we will not be controlled," Marcus countered. "You wanted to occupy Earth. You wanted to dismantle our colonies. You wanted to make us obedient. We are showing you why that will never happen." General Throke's voice boomed through the chamber. "I order the immediate mobilization of all Council fleets. Humanity must be contained before they become an existential threat." "It is too late for that," Marcus said quietly. Alarms began blaring throughout the chamber. Emergency communication channels activated. Council military commanders appeared on screens, their expressions ranging from confusion to panic. "High Arbiter," one commander said, "we have a situation. 3 of our battle groups have vanished from their patrol routes." "Vanished?" Ventel demanded. "Explain." "They were there on scanners, then they simply disappeared. No explosion. No distress signals, they are just gone." Marcus turned to face Ventel. "They are not gone, High Arbiter. They have been captured. 17 vessels, containing over 40,000 Council military personnel, are currently in human custody. They were transported using our skip technology while they were still trying to understand what was happening." The chamber erupted into chaos. Species shouted demands for the return of their vessels. Others called for immediate military response. A few, the wisest ones, simply sat in stunned silence. "The crews are unharmed," Marcus assured them. "In fact, they have been treated as honored guests. We wanted to demonstrate our capabilities, not start a war. The battle groups will be returned within 24 hours. But understand this, we captured 3 battle groups without firing a shot, without them having time to react, without leaving any evidence of what happened. If we wanted to, we could do the same to your entire fleet." "We will destroy you," Throck roared. "Every ship, every colony, every human in Spa. Sea will be eliminated." "That is your choice," Marcus said calmly. "But first, let me show you what that choice will cost." Elena activated another display. This one showed casualty projections, battle simulations, economic impact analyses. The numbers were staggering. "If the Council goes to war with humanity," Elena explained, "our analysts project the following outcomes. 1,400 Council vessels destroyed in the first week as we exploit known vulnerabilities. 7 major Council worlds suffering infrastructure damage from strikes against military targets. 32% economic collapse across Council space as supply lines are disrupted. And an estimated 4 billion casualties, most of them Council species, before any human colony is successfully occupied. And that is if we fight defensively, Marcus added. If we decide to go on the offensive, the projections are far worse. Vental stared at the numbers. You would kill billions to maintain your independence? We would defend ourselves, Marcus corrected. We did not ask for this conflict. You created it when you decided humanity should be controlled rather than respected. But yes, if you force us to choose between submission and survival, we will choose survival. And we will do whatever is necessary to secure it. The High Arbiter looked around the chamber at the assembled representatives. He saw fear on faces that had never known fear before. He saw uncertainty in species that had ruled the galaxy with absolute confidence. The Council must vote, he said finally. Under ancient law, we can declare a species an existential threat to galactic civilization. Such a declaration authorizes complete military action to eliminate the threat. All representatives, prepare to cast your votes. The chamber fell silent as the voting system activated. Each representative received the question on their personal display. Is humanity an existential threat that must be eliminated? The votes appeared one by one on the central display. Yes, yes. Species after species voted for extermination. The humans were too dangerous, too unpredictable, too powerful. They had to be destroyed before they destroyed everything else. Marcus watched the tally climb. 1,000 votes for extermination. Then 2,000. Then 3,000. Commander Rose stood beside him, her hand near her weapon. Dr. Park was pale but calm. Elena Torres simply waited, as if the vote meant nothing. Finally, the counting stopped. 2,847 votes in favor of declaring humanity an existential threat. 493 abstentions. Only 360 votes against. The measure passes, Vental announced. Humanity is declared an existential threat. All Council military forces are authorized to use any means necessary to eliminate this threat. Ambassador Webb, you have brought this upon your species. Marcus laughed. It was not a pleasant sound. High Arbiter, do you want to know the real reason I came here? He turned to face the entire assembly. It was not to defend Earth. It was not to argue about laws or territory. It was to keep you all in one place while we finished our preparations. He activated his risk communicator. All stations, execute Protocol Genesis. The displays throughout the chamber shifted to show scenes from across the galaxy. Hundreds of worlds, each one transmitting a similar message. Alien species, not human, speaking to their own people. We, the undersigned species, declare our independence from the Galactic Council. We renounce Council authority and refuse to recognize Council law. We place ourselves under the protection of the Human Coalition, a new alliance based on mutual respect rather than forced compliance. 200 species. All of them minor races who had been subjugated by the Council centuries or millennia ago. All of them declaring independence simultaneously. For 30 years, Marcus said, while you were watching Earth, we were talking to the species you ignored. The ones you conquered. The ones you exploited. The ones you treated as subjects rather than equals. We offered them technology. We offered them protection. We offered them something you never did. Genuine partnership. The representatives stared in horror as the scope of humanity's strategy became clear. The Human Coalition controlled 1/3 of the galaxy's population. They held key resource systems the Council depended on. They occupied strategic positions throughout Council space. You can declare us an existential threat, Marcus said. You can mobilize your fleets, but if you attack Earth, you will be at war with 200 species across the entire galaxy. Your supply lines will collapse. Your economy will crumble. Your military will be fighting on 10,000 fronts simultaneously. And in the chaos, your own member species will begin to wonder if they should follow our example. He walked toward the exit, his team following him. At the doorway, he turned back one final time. We did not come here to destroy the Council. We came to give you a choice. Accept that the galaxy has changed, or cling to your old power and watch it crumble. Either way, humanity is here to stay. The door closed behind them, leaving the Council in stunned silence. The emergency council session convened 3 hours after Marcus Webb walked out of the Grand Tribunal. Representatives arrived in panic, demanding action, threatening violence, predicting disaster. But High Arbiter Vental sat in silence at the center of the chaos. His crystalline form dimmed to a barely visible glow. General Throck paced back and forth, his forearms gesturing wildly. We must mobilize immediately. Strike Earth while we still have numerical superiority. Destroy their fleet before they can coordinate with their so-called coalition. And fight a war on 10,000 fronts? Advocate Zelmuth asked quietly. The human calculated this perfectly. If we attack Earth, we declare war on 1/3 of the galaxy. They are weak species. Throck roared. Minor races with primitive technology. We conquered them once. We can do so again, can we? Vental finally spoke, his voice barely above a whisper. How many of those species now possess human weapons? How many have been training with human military advisors for years? How many have ships we cannot detect and technology we do not understand? He stood slowly and the chamber fell silent. The High Arbiter had governed for 3,000 years. He had seen civilizations rise and fall. He had made decisions that shaped the galaxy. And now, for the first time in his long life, he looked uncertain. Humans did not just offer these species protection, Vental continued. They offered them dignity, partnership, respect, things we stopped offering millennia ago because we did not need to. We were strong enough to simply take what we wanted and call it order. You speak as if we are defeated, a representative from the Troll species hissed. We have 8,000 worlds. We have fleets that have defended this galaxy for 12,000 years. We have fleets designed to maintain control over species weaker than ourselves, Vental corrected. When did we last fight an enemy with technology superior to our own? When did we last face an opponent who studied us, understood us, and prepared specifically to counter our strengths? He gestured to the displays still showing the Human Coalition's declaration. They did not just prepare for war. They prepared for every possible outcome. If we attack, we lose. If we negotiate, we lose. If we do nothing, we lose. They have already won. Then what do you propose? Zelmuth asked. I propose we accept reality, Vental said. The galaxy has changed. We can either change with it or be swept aside by it. The debate raged for hours. Some species demanded war. Others advocated for negotiation. A few, seeing the way the tide was turning, began quietly reaching out to the Human Coalition to discuss their own futures. Finally, as the sun set over Centrum Prime, Vental called for a vote. Not on war, on recognition. All in favor of recognizing the Human Coalition as a sovereign entity with equal status to the Galactic Council? The vote was close. Many species voted against, unwilling to surrender the power they had held for so long. But enough voted in favor. Seeing no alternative that did not end in disaster. The measure passed. Marcus received the notification in his quarters. He read it once, then smiled and looked at his team. They accepted, he said simply. Did you expect them to? Commander Rowe asked. I expected Vental to be smart enough to see he had no choice, Marcus replied. The others will fall in line or they will leave the council. Either way, the galaxy will never be the same. Elena Torres was already packing their equipment. What happens now? Now we go home and begin the real work, Marcus said. Building a coalition is easy compared to maintaining one. 200 species with different cultures, different needs, different histories. We have to prove that our model works better than theirs. Dr. Park looked thoughtful. The council will try to undermine us. They will offer incentives to coalition members to return. They will attempt to divide us. Let them try, Marcus said. We prepared for that too. The next day, Marcus met with High Arbiter Vental in a private chamber, away from the crowds and cameras. Just two beings who had changed the course of galactic history. You played this perfectly, Vental said. Every move calculated. Every revelation timed for maximum impact. Tell me truthfully, Ambassador Webb, did you really have all the capabilities you claimed? Or was some of it deception? Marcus smiled. Does it matter? You believed it. Your military believed it. Your people believed it. In strategy, perception is often more powerful than reality. You did not answer my question. No, I did not, Marcus agreed. And I never will. That uncertainty, that fear of what else we might have hidden, is one of our greatest weapons. You will always wonder what we are truly capable of, and that wondering will keep you cautious. Vental's crystalline form shifted to a resigned blue. What will you do with your coalition? Build something better than what you have, Marcus said simply. A community where species are partners, not subjects. Where technology is shared, not hoarded. Where expansion is possible without conquest. That is idealistic, perhaps. But humans excel at achieving the impossible. You should have learned that by now. Vental was silent for a long moment. Then he asked, "Why did you really come here, Marcus Webb? You could have simply declared independence and enforced it with your superior technology. Why the trial? Why the public spectacle?" "Because declarations without legitimacy are just words," Marcus replied. "We needed the galaxy to see that the Council was not infallible. We needed your own laws and procedures to demonstrate that your authority was built on force, not justice. We needed witnesses to understand that humanity was not being aggressive. We were being defensive against your plans to subjugate us." He stood and walked to the window, looking out over Centrum Prime. "If we had simply attacked you, we would have been the villains. By forcing you to judge us publicly, we turned your own system against you. We made you reveal your true intentions. We made you vote for our extermination. And in doing so, we proved to everyone watching that we were right to resist." "You manipulated the entire galaxy," Vental said quietly. "We told the truth," Marcus corrected. "We simply chose when and how to reveal it for maximum effect. That is not manipulation. That is strategy." He turned back to face the High Arbiter. "You asked what will happen now? Here's my prediction. For the next few years, there will be tension. Some of your species will leave the Council to join us. Some of ours will struggle with independence. There will be conflicts, economic disputes, territorial arguments. But slowly, gradually, both our groups will realize that competition makes us stronger. Your species will modernize to match our capabilities. Our species will mature to match your stability. And eventually, the galaxy will have two powers balancing each other instead of one power controlling everything. And if we cannot coexist peacefully, then humanity has already proven we can defend ourselves," Marcus said. "But I do not think it will come to that. You are ancient, High Arbiter. You have seen empires rise and fall. You understand that the ones who survive are not the ones who cling to power, but the ones who adapt to change." 5 years later, Marcus Webb stood in the Coalition Assembly on Nova Terra, humanity's new capital world outside the Sol system. The chamber was smaller than the Council's Grand Tribunal, but it was full of representatives from 200 species, all working together to build something unprecedented. The galaxy had indeed split into two major power blocks. The Galactic Council still controlled its core territories, but it had lost influence and members. The human coalition had grown stronger, though not without struggles. Several species had tried to return to the Council. Others had attempted to play both sides. A few had dissolved into civil war as factions debated which power to support, but overall, the galaxy was more dynamic than it had been in millennia. The competition between Council and Coalition drove technological advancement. Species that had stagnated for thousands of years were suddenly innovating again, trying to keep pace with their rivals. Trade flourished as both groups tried to win economic advantages. Even warfare, while still present, had become more limited as both sides recognized that all-out conflict would destroy them both. Marcus was older now, gray at his temples, but he still commanded respect in the assembly. He had been elected coalition coordinator, the closest thing the new alliance had to a leader, though power was deliberately distributed among many species rather than concentrated in human hands. The Council has proposed a joint scientific expedition to study the galactic core, he announced to the assembly. They suggest that both our groups contribute resources and personnel. They claim it would demonstrate that we can cooperate despite our political differences. It is a trap, one representative said immediately. They want access to our technology. Perhaps, Marcus agreed. Or perhaps they genuinely want to cooperate. Either way, I recommend we accept. Why? Another representative asked. What do we gain? We gain the opportunity to prove our model works, Marcus explained. If we refuse every council overture, we look fearful and isolated. If we accept and the project succeeds, we demonstrate that cooperation is possible. If we accept and they betray us, we expose their dishonesty to the galaxy. Either way, we benefit. The assembly debated, as they always did. The coalition was messier than the council, slower to make decisions, more chaotic in its governance. But it was also more innovative, more responsive to member needs, and more genuinely representative. After the session, Commander Rowe approached Marcus. She had retired from active military service to become Coalition Defense Coordinator. Do you ever regret it? She asked. The way we forced the galaxy to change? Every day, Marcus admitted. We disrupted an order that had kept the peace for 12,000 years. Species died because of our actions. Governments fell. Economies collapsed. We caused suffering, but you still think it was necessary? I think it was inevitable, Marcus said. The council was stagnant, corrupt, built on a foundation of conquest disguised as civilization. If we had not challenged them, someone else would have eventually. At least we did it strategically, minimizing casualties and creating an alternative rather than just destroying what existed. He looked out at Novaterra's skyline, where ships from dozens of species came and went freely. We are not perfect. The coalition has its own problems, but we gave the galaxy a choice. That is more than the council ever offered. That evening, Marcus recorded a message for the archives. It would be used to brief new human diplomats joining coalition service. To those who come after me, he said into the camera, remember that humanity's greatest strength is not our technology or our military. It is our ability to adapt, to learn, to look at a situation and see not just what it is, but what it could be. He paused, gathering his thoughts. When we met the Galactic Council, we were terrified. They were ancient and powerful, and we were newcomers who barely understood the galaxy we had entered. But we did not let fear control us. We studied. We prepared. We waited for the right moment. And when that moment came, we acted decisively. The galaxy today is more chaotic than it was before humanity arrived. But it is also more free, more innovative, more alive with possibility. We did not destroy the council. We gave them competition. We reminded them that power is not permanent, that authority must be earned, not simply inherited. He leaned forward, his expression intense. You will face challenges I cannot predict. The galaxy will change in ways I cannot imagine. But remember this, humanity survived 200,000 years on Earth by being adaptable. We survived 10,000 years of our own wars by learning from our mistakes. We will survive the next 1,000 years in space by continuing to do what we do best, learning, adapting, and never accepting that the way things are is the way they must be. We are not here to rule the galaxy. We are here to make sure no one else does either. Keep that mission in mind, and you will navigate whatever challenges come. The recording ended. Marcus stood and walked to the window, looking up at the stars. Somewhere out there, the council was having similar conversations about humanity. Somewhere out there, species were deciding which power to align with, which vision of the future to embrace. The galaxy would never be unified again, not in the way it had been. But perhaps that was not a failure. Perhaps competition between powers was healthier than domination by one. Perhaps the chaos of freedom was better than the stability of control. Marcus thought about High Arbiter Vental's final question. Why had humans really come to the tribunal? And he thought about his answer, which had been true but incomplete. The complete truth was simpler and more profound. Humans had come to prove that predators could do more than hunt. They could think. They could plan. They could build alliances and create systems and change the rules of the game itself, and in doing so, humanity had taught the galaxy the most important lesson of all: never underestimate a species that spent its entire history fighting for survival. Because when survival is all you have ever known, you learn to do whatever is necessary to secure it. The galaxy had learned that lesson, and it would never forget.